I've been through a lot of keyboards lately, including a lot of budget options, but the Keychron Q1 Pro is probably the best one yet. And while it's definitely not a budget option with its solid aluminium body, you find out exactly what you're paying for the very moment you touch it. But it's not quite perfect. Let's take a look. Before we get there though, let me throw in that obligatory warning that Keychron did send me this product free of charge for the purpose of this video, but absolutely no money changed hands and they have no idea what I'm about to say in this video, and they'll see it on the channel at the same time that you do. The only thing they have asked me to kindly mention is that their Black Friday sale is going on right now. It runs until the 4th of December, so have a look on there and check out the latest deals. Okay, let's get back to the video. So the Q1 Pro comes in a few different versions. There's a pre-built option with a variety of switches and a few different color options, or there's a bare bones version, which is just the keyboard without any switches or keycaps. I've got the bare bones version here, but if you want something that's ready to go right out of the box, then you should probably opt for the pre-built version. It comes very well packaged and it's a much nicer unboxing experience than you might get from some of the more budget keyboards, including Keychron's own C3 Pro that we unboxed on the channel recently. And inside, first of all, you'll find some accessories. There's this really nice braided USB-C to C cable with metal casing on the plugs. It adds to the premium look and feel. And it comes also with a USB Type-C to Type-A adapter, so whatever system you want to connect it up to, it should be good to go right away. Then there's this little baggie which has some spare screws, spare gaskets, and even some spare little rubber feet for the bottom of the board. And according to the website there should also be a key switch puller, a key cap puller, a screwdriver, and a hex key. And for about 2 weeks now, I was convinced that mine were missing from the box. It wasn't until I Googled it to see if anyone had the same experience as I did that a helpful user on Reddit actually pointed out they're hidden underneath the quick start guide in the box. Ah, there they are. Honestly though, Keychron, you should really put that somewhere on the packaging, maybe to please lift here or something, because I thought they didn't exist. It seemed like it was part of the bottom of the box because it was so tightly packaged in there, like it fit really well. And clearly, based off my Google, I'm not the only one that thought that, so maybe add just a little lift this to find your tools or something, you know? So with the accessories out of the way, let's get onto the keyboard itself. And when you pick it up out of the box, the first thing that you're gonna catch your attention is just the weight of this thing. It is so heavy and so solid. Like, I'm not joking when I say you could sort of defend yourself with this against an intruder if they broke into your house. And it's immediately obvious that this is an absolutely beautiful keyboard. It's got like a smooth but angular shape to it, and the edges are just square enough to look really cool, but they're just rounded off enough to feel nice and not sharp. I've got what Keychron calls the silver gray color, and it's a really nice finish, and it falls somewhere between Apple's silver and Apple's space gray colors. It makes it look perfect for any Mac user setup, and if you pair it with some white keycaps and pop it next to a Magic Mouse or a Magic Trackpad in the white color, they really go together nicely. I obviously can't comment on the other colors that are available, but based off this one, I really doubt you'll be upset with the finish, whichever one you choose. So seeing as I went for the bare bones version, I did have a little bit of assembly to do before I was ready to actually start trying out the keyboard. And I started out by installing some of Keychron's own K Pro Mint switches, and later on tried out their banana switches also. I then also whacked on the keycaps that were also from Keychron, and they came in this nice white and gray color, which paired very nicely with the silver keyboard. And the keycaps is probably the first place where Mac users will be really happy with this keyboard. It comes with all of the option command keys on it in the right place. If you buy pre-built, they're already on the keyboard. The packaging even states to please look for the Windows keycaps if you need to swap them out for Windows. So it's like Mac first. And then across the function row at the top, you've got all of the shortcuts for mission control and mute and volume and skip, brightness, everything, and they all work perfectly out of the box. The escape key in my keycap set has the little hello from Mac OS on it, and people who don't build keyboards to use with Mac probably don't realize how much of a breath of fresh air this actually is for us, because it's really hard to find keycaps that have all of the right Mac keys on it in the right places and have the Mac actual keyboard layout, especially if you've got stepped keys, because some of the keys are in slightly different places in a Mac, especially in the ISO layout that I've got here. So whether you go pre-built or bare bones and pick up a set of Keychron's keycaps to go with it, like I have, you're gonna be happy. Mac users, the keycaps are going to be Mac focused. So now that we've got everything built, we can start actually using the thing, and we start off by selecting the Mac option on the back of the keyboard, which is a nice little switch, which is also made of metal, by the way. And then we can switch it to Bluetooth mode, and what can I say, Bluetooth mode pairs instantly with the Mac once you obviously select it in your Bluetooth settings. And the Bluetooth connection is solid. I have never had an issue with it. Not only that, when the Mac goes to sleep and the keyboard kind of switches off into standby, I come back into the room, I press one key on the keyboard, it switches on, it pairs like within a second, and the Mac wakes up and everything carries on working exactly how I left it before I walked away. So by Bluetooth, the board has the ability to connect to 3 devices at a time, and you can switch between them very quickly and easily by pressing function and the 1, 2, and 3 number keys. And switching between them is, again, super quick, super solid. I haven't had any issues with it, and it's way faster at switching between devices than a lot of other Bluetooth keyboards I've used in the past. I was initially a little bit annoyed that when you pair it to your Mac, it doesn't show you the battery level on the screen like a lot of other Bluetooth devices do. But then I discovered a cool little feature, and all was forgiven immediately. You can just press the function key and the letter B for battery, and you get this awesome little animation that fills up and lets you know how much battery life you've got, anywhere from 1 to 0 being 10 being full, 1 being empty. Cool feature. Keychron, you won me over. I don't need to see it on the screen. I want to watch the little lights dance, right? Talking of lighting, the backlight composes of complete RGB LED layout, which are also south-facing LEDs, and there's all the usual different animations and stuff like that that you can choose from, and different options as far as making it go faster, slower, brighter, dimmer, off, on. Whatever you want, you're probably going to find it on here, and obviously you can customize it even more using software. And for the software, you get 2 options. There's sort of the industry standard open source VIA that this keyboard is compatible with, but then there's also Keychron's own Cloud Drive Keychron Launcher. This is also a browser-based software, so you don't need to install anything. You just connect your keyboard up by USB, open it up in a compatible browser, most likely Chrome is the most compatible for this. And then you get all the options you need to customize layers and keys and layout and everything you want to change. You can do it all in your browser, and then it saves it onto the keyboard and you're done. So after all the setup and building and all that stuff's out of the way, how is it to actually do what it's meant to do, like pressing buttons and typing? Well, I'm pleased to say that Mac mode is actually a Mac mode. The layouts are correct, all the shortcut keys work, everything's exactly how you'd want it to be, almost like using the keyboard built into your MacBook. Everything you need to do is there. Then there's the little volume knob as well, which is fully programmable, by the way, but by default it comes programmed as volume up and down, and then when you click it, it mutes and unmutes, and again, works straight away, pre-programmed, perfect. And then when you start typing, it's just absolutely lovely, right? The weight of this board means I've never had such a confident typing experience. Everything feels super solid, and there's absolutely no way it's ever moving around on your desk by accident, like ever. I mean, moving it intentionally is like some sort of gym exercise, so moving it by accident, it's not going to happen. The gasket mount is something that I'm still not sure I can feel the difference of personally when I'm typing. I don't know if I can notice it. I've tried several keyboards with gaskets and I'm not sure how much difference it really makes to me. But there must be something to it because more and more keyboards are starting to introduce that as a feature. And this has double gasket mounted PCB, and the sort of suspension aspect is definitely there, as you can see in the video. Between those gaskets is a polycarbonate plate that comes included with it. If you want other materials, Keychron do sell them on their website. And then there's a layer of foam included between the plate and the PCB. You'll also find it comes with screw-in stabilizers, which generally seem to be superior to the PCB mounted stabilizers that you get on a lot of the budget options. And I was pleasantly surprised by Keychron's mint switches as well. They come pre-lubed, they feel really smooth from the offset. And having been a bit of a linear switch purist up until now, I actually think I like these Holy Panda style tactile switches even more, especially for just typing and not gaming. However, what I did find with the mint ones is that the actuation force, while they feel nice, I actually prefer the feel of them for just pressing buttons and doing day-to-day stuff. The actuation force was a little bit too much, and when I was typing long things such as scripts for YouTube videos and that kind of stuff, it did start to wear on my hands and they'd start aching a little bit. So I switched to the banana switches, which have a lighter actuation force but are still a similar tactile style, and they're also one of the options you can choose from in the pre-built version of this keyboard as well. And I think, although I prefer initially the feel of the mint, the banana are going to be my long-term solution in this keyboard. I don't think I'll even bother putting linear switches in it at all, but maybe I need to get 2 so I can switch between mint and banana just by swapping the keyboard over. And that's where the mechanical keyboard addiction continues forever and ever and ever, right? So with all that said, I'm absolutely in love with this keyboard. This is now my main keyboard on my desk, and I think it will probably be a while before anything better comes across my desk. But at the beginning of this video, I did say it wasn't perfect, right? And so far, I've been very, very positive about this keyboard in its entirety. So what makes it not perfect? Well, for me, as someone who uses my keyboard with both my Mac for productivity work and my PC for gaming, I'm a bit disappointed that there's no 2.4 GHz wireless mode included with this board. Now, don't get me wrong, it works very, very well pairing it to the PC and the Mac by Bluetooth and switching between the two. can't fault that. But the polling rate on Bluetooth mode is just 90 Hertz. You can get 1000 Hertz if you use the cable, but that makes it more awkward to switch between the two, and I don't like cables. Why we buy a wireless keyboard, right? We need as many cables off our desk as we can. But yeah, if you want to be able to rock this thing wirelessly and play any sort of more competitive games, and depending how sensitive you are to such things, you might well notice that it's only a 90 Hertz polling rate. If you're serious about gaming and you use this keyboard, you're gonna really have to plug it in. But my question here is, why is it missing? Almost every single wireless keyboard that you find out there on the market, even cheap ones, have Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz as options. So I can't see a justification for a keyboard at this price to not come with that as an option. I don't know how much it would have added to the cost, but if it meant adding an extra tenner to the price of the board to include it, when you're at that sort of price range anyway, an extra tenner is not going to break it, right? So it's a letdown that it's not on there. But that said, the Bluetooth is probably the best I've used on any keyboard that I've tried. So it's probably one of the best Bluetooth options you can buy if that's what you want. But after using this board as my only keyboard for a couple of weeks now, the lack of 2.4 gigahertz is the only fault I can find with it. Apart from that, it actually is a perfect keyboard in my personal opinion. And I'm old AF, so who am I kidding thinking that a higher polling rate is gonna help my gaming or KD ratio or whatever? And that is why I actually think this is the perfect keyboard for Mac users, because you know, you can't play games on Mac anyway, right? So with that said, let me leave you with a few different sound tests of the keyboard with different switches and keycaps on it. And apart from that, thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you really soon.